let's chat about
mushy broccoli.
the mushy broccoli problem.
Let's talk vegetables. You are not eating enough vegetables.
I mean, that's probably true.
Yeah, true. That's not quite what this podcast is about. That would be funny if we just made a hard pivot.
Yeah, into like nutrition.
Yeah, we actually have a broccoli sponsor we want to tell you about. The broccoli lobby. The broccoli lobby is on board with Pillow Talks. We're pushing cruciferous veg.
Hello and welcome to the Pillow Talks podcast. We're your hosts, Vanessa
And Xander Marin.
I'm a sex therapist with over 20 years of experience.
And I'm just a regular dude. We share the ups and downs in our relationship while giving you step-by-step techniques for improving yours.
Make sure you subscribe for your weekly double date full of totally doable sex tips, practical relationship advice, hilarious and honest stories of what really goes on behind closed bedroom doors, and so much more. It's the sex education you wish you'd had. So we had the idea recently that it would be fun to create a best of episode. I think podcasts are always tricky because for new people who are coming in, you're kind of like, I don't really know where to start.
Yeah,
like,
where the heck do we start?
Yeah, do I go all the way back to the beginning? This is our 233rd episode, so
it's a long way to go back.
That's a lot of episodes.
I would be intimidated by that. I'm not sure I would want to go all the way back to the beginning. Honestly, that's like that would be like years of back catalog to listen to. But we always hear from people that do.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed by you.
No, we recently got a DM from somebody who was like, I spent the last 2 months listening to every episode and now I'm fully caught up. I was like, that's awesome. A lot of us in your ear.
You're really knowledgeable now. You're like, this person who's done that, like they're dangerous. They're dangerous in bed in a good way.
Dangerous?
Yeah, dangerous.
So
they know
weird.
They know everything. They know everything that we know.
Not everything.
Oh.
We don't put everything
We might have
in
a
the
couple tips and tricks that don't make it into the podcast.
Okay, so we wanted to make this like best of episode that would be good as a start here for people, but also as a refresher for regular listeners too. Like you might not listen to every episode every week, or you listened to one, years ago and there was this tip that you really liked at the time and then forgot to actually take any action on it.
Or, probably you don't even know what the best of us is. Let us tell you what all the best things are.
So what we did is we turned to our Instagram community and we said, okay, we want to make this best of episode. So tell us, what is the most powerful, impactful thing that you've learned from us? And I actually wrote, I was like, if a friend of yours, if you were recommending our podcast or our work to a friend of yours, what would you tell them? Like, oh, you have to start with this, or like, this tip totally changed my life. This tip is so valuable. So we gathered them all together. We looked for, what were the absolute most popular things, and we are putting them all together into this episode.
You know what? I also want to show up my very best today in this best of episode. And right before we started, I was like, oh, you know what? I forgot to take my Invisalign out and my rubber band. And I was like, I don't think it really impacts my speech.
I was about to tell you.
It does. And yeah, we're
going to take a quick break for you to take those out.
We're going to take it out.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm back.
Choose the power of editing magic.
Unencumbered in my mouth.
You sound way better.
Thanks, babe. I feel better.
You're almost done with your Invisalign journey.
I am so close.
You're so close.
And then I truly will be the best version of myself.
Wow. It's all downhill from here.
No, I mean, I could keep getting better. The best version of myself I've ever been. Up till now.
Okay.
You got to always leave room for improvement or new developments, new technology, new whatever.
New Xander technology.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So these are not in any particular order either. We just picked the most popular ones. Okay. So first, we have to talk about the fuck first rule.
This isn't even ours, actually.
I know. It does feel like a little bit embarrassing to put something that's not ours into our best of episode.
I mean, we've made it ours in a way.
And we've made it ours in a way. So I always like to give credit where credit is due. The original place where we heard about the fuck first rule was from Dan Savage. And the whole idea behind that the way that he shared it is have sex before you go out on a date night, go out to dinner, go to a party, because we all have to be real with ourselves. We get full, we get bloated. If you're drinking drinking. Sometimes you get a little too drunk. And then you come home and it's just like, it's not the greatest time for intimacy. You want to put on your PJs and watch Netflix instead,
Yeah,
right?
despite the fact that most of us have this idea in our head, oh yeah, the time for sex is after date night. The time for sex is when we get home from the party. And it's like, yeah, maybe that's true when you're 18 years old and you're kind of operating at full energy, you know, like 120%, I'm so psyched on life kind of thing. But like for most of us, once we get a little bit older, you know, start like working jobs and living real life, all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I'm up past my bedtime and I'm tired, right? So it's like we got to think differently than we used to. And what used to work in the past doesn't always work anymore in the future. And maybe even the stuff that we did in the past, like it might have been suboptimal. Like if you were in a relationship and sex was important to you, like, yeah, why wouldn't you prioritize that over doing something that where you know it's going to be late, you're going to be tired, you're going to have other factors like food and drink working against you.
Yeah, so I loved the original rule when I heard it. It was just that perfect little piece of wisdom of, you know, oh my God, yeah, we've all been there. We all know, you know, we have these great intentions before date night starts and then you come back and you're like, I just don't want to.
I mean, actually, just think back. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I did just want to say, like, think back to early in our relationship. I feel like we had not so many, but we had a couple of our first like tiffs, especially like when a little alcohol was involved back in that day. There were a number of arguments that I can remember back in that shithole of a apartment I used to live in San Francisco that revolved around sex and one or both of our readiness or lack thereof for it when it was like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was like those situations where you wake up the next day and you both look at each other and you're like, oh my God, what the fuck were we arguing about? That was like so
embarrassing.
Stupid. It's so embarrassing. Because it was like, yeah, neither of us were in any shape to be doing that or wanting to do that, and yet somehow we got into an argument about it because one person thought they wanted it more than the other person was trying to say they're tired, and like, yeah, of course you're tired, you're drunk and it's 2 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, we've also, if you really want to get into we had one pretty bad fight where we tried to, when we were not in a place to be, and it did not go well. But
let's say there were a lot of factors involved, and I had zero business. I had zero business getting sexy with you because I fell asleep in the middle of it.
That was not fun.
Yeah, you know, I'm sober now. I can look back on those times and laugh. But I think that happens for a lot of people. And yeah, I mean, like, I'm not telling you like how you should live your life in terms of what you eat or drink or whatever, but in terms of how you have sex, absolutely prioritize it first.
Okay, so yeah, going back to the original rule, it was just that perfect little, here's something so small and simple you can do, have it before you go out on date night. So we loved that. And the more we thought about it, we were like, you know, this shouldn't just apply to date night. This should be really like a life motto. A way that we live our lives is fucking first, like putting sex first. Because I think so often what happens with sex in long-term relationships is we leave it until the very end of the evening. And similar to most of us have this kind of script in our heads of, oh, date night is like going out to dinner and then you come home and you get sexy. A lot of us have this script in our heads that sex is this thing that we do at the very end of the night. But again, we have to be realistic with ourselves. By the time you are crawling into bed at the end of the night, you are exhausted.
Yep.
You've had a long day. Your partner's had a long day. You want to go to sleep. You're thinking about how much sleep you can get before you have to wake up to your alarm the next morning. It's just a very tough time to get excited for sex. And so most couples don't wind up having sex in those moments, and then they feel really guilty and bad, like, oh my God, we're never having sex, we're in this dry spell, but then they wake up the next day and repeat the whole pattern all over again.
Or one person maybe does try to initiate, or maybe does it in a kind of roundabout way, and the other partner says no. And this just furthers another potential dynamic, which is that one partner is always trying to initiate and the other partner is always trying to say no, or the other partner's like, oh, like, how come you can't read the room? And the other partner's like, well, I'm not supposed to be I'm not a mind reader, right? Like, and so these are just such common dynamics that get so exacerbated by waiting until the very end. I'm not going to say that if you start fucking first, all of a sudden that dynamic is going to go away, because that's a really deep dynamic. The like one person always wants it, the other person never wants it, or one person, can't read the room or whatever. But this will definitely improve that situation.
Mm-hmm. So the way that we adapted Fuck First is to try to prioritize sex as early in the evening or even in the day as you possibly can. Now, obviously, everybody's schedules are different. So we're not saying like you have to do it at this specific time, but the idea is let's prioritize it. We all have a million things on our to-do list, a million ways that we should be spending our time, but let's try to put sex higher up on that list rather than treating it as this thing of like, oh, well, maybe if we get the time, maybe at the very end of the night, we'll get around to it. This is about like seeing sex as something that's valuable and worthy and like worth making the space in our lives for. So for some people, maybe that's, if you don't have kids, maybe it's, hey, as soon as we get home from work, that's a great time for us to be intimate with each other. If you do have kids, maybe it's, hey, literally all that we can prioritize it over is like scrolling on our phones at night or zonking out in front of Netflix. That's great too. But like the idea is you're showing yourself and your partner sex is valuable. I want us to prioritize it over some of the other things in life.
We've actually recently, in the last couple of weeks, we've even taken this a step further and created a whole new thing. Do we even want to tell the people what we're doing? We've been experimenting with something.
Okay, you can tell a little bit, but like we can't claim this as this is not a best of technique yet because we are still testing it. We haven't even told anybody about it.
It's us taking Fuck First
to the next level.
To another level. Like it's a new concept coming out of being birthed by Fuck First.
This is sounding really weird. Okay, do a quick little recap.
Okay, so I think that this, for me, what got me thinking about this is that the Fuck First concept that Vanessa was just talking about, how we've extended it to, beyond just date night and whatever. Like, can we look at every day? Like, how could we prioritize it first? And I think that's so important, especially as, we have more and more technology in our lives. If you look back like before TV, like, what did couples do? Right? Like you work, you eat, you're home, you have kids or you don't have kids, you put the kids to bed, right? And then like, what do you have to do? Maybe you could read a book. Newspaper.
Churn some butter. Or have sex.
Right? And so like, there were fewer decisions to make. And now there are more and more things. Oh, do I like talk on the phone? Do I scroll on my phone? Do I look at Instagram? Do I watch TV? I mean, God, even for a long time with TV, it was like, yeah, you always had TV, but like, maybe there was nothing on for 2 hours that you cared about on a given day, right? So like you weren't that engaged in it. And now it's like, oh, Netflix, Hulu, whatever. Like we have everything at our finger. There's always something that feels important or exciting or, something that could come before sex, right? In a way that really didn't used to be there in the past. And so Vanessa and I were kind of talking about, we're like, God, if we're really honest with each other, sex feels way more important than watching the next episode of whatever show we're watching on Netflix.
Although Love is Blind is like really good this season.
Well, we'll get there. We figured out a way to put a fun spin on this. But it's like, honestly, it's way more important. Like, you are more important to me. Our sex life is more important to me than any one of those things. So if it is more important, and I think most people would agree, like, yeah, it is, like, that stuff, my relationship, my sex life is more important to me. But for some reason, we are not actually making it as much of a priority as whatever. Because it's so easy to just be like, oh, I'm just going to scroll on my phone for 5 minutes, right?
And then half an hour has gone by. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were like, what if we just said no screens before sex. Like, that sounds kind of crazy. Like, it sounded insane when we were first throwing that idea around, but then it's like, well, but why not? Like, I can't think of one good legitimate reason why that shouldn't be the case. The only thing is, like, if you just physically don't want to have sex, so, instead of that, it could be like,
broaden
it could be
sex.
Sex
like
could
to
be
just be
intimacy, something connecting, physical, like all the stuff that we know deep down it's way more important. And so we've been doing that for a little bit now.
And it's been a very fun experiment. Maybe we'll do a whole podcast episode diving into that. But yeah,
we've been having a ton of sex.
Sure have.
We've been having more sex probably than we've ever had before. And it's really fun. And it's kind of cute because we can be like, we kind of can both initiate it and be like, hey, want to earn our screen time? Like, it's just a fun way because then you're like, oh, yeah. Because after you do it, then you're like, fuck yeah, I did earn this. I can relax and know that we are like intentionally relaxing and we're not we're not prioritizing that over the stuff that we know long term is going to keep our relationship alive.
Yeah, let us know if you want us to do an episode about that, because we've been doing a lot of brainstorming about the ways that tech gets in the way of intimacy and like what are other rules, other experiments that we can do to make sure that intimacy is being prioritized above tech. So come on over to our Instagram. We're at Vanessa and Xander, and let us know if you want to see a whole deep dive episode on that. So if you've been here for a while, you may have heard me talk about Blissy pillowcases before and how they've been a game changer for my frizzy hair, helping me wake up with skin that feels more refreshed. But the most recent time that we changed out our sheets, I put normal pillowcases on the bed. And I thought, I love these pillowcases, but whatever, it's just a week.
Big mistake.
Big mistake. My hair's been out of control frizzy. It's just been such a good reminder that pillowcases actually make a shockingly big difference. Blissy pillowcases are made from 100% silk, and it helps keep your hair and skin moisturized all night long. They were also voted the best gift of the year for 2024. So if you're looking for some great gifts to give to your loved ones, I highly recommend checking them out. And because you're a listener, Blissy is offering 60 nights risk-free plus an additional 30% off when you shop at blissy.com/pillowpod. That's BLISSY.com/pillowpod and use code pillowpod to get an additional 30% off. Your skin and hair will thank you. Gift season is upon us, and if you want to absolutely knock it out of the park with everyone on your list, might I suggest the Cozy Earth Bubble Cuddle Blanket. This is such a perfect gift. It can be literally for everyone on your list. It is so soft, so cozy, especially at this time of year. We have been really enjoying cuddling up on the couch and just draping it over ourselves.
We've been gifting it a lot. It's getting rave reviews.
The dogs are obsessed with it too. Like, everybody loves this blanket. And that's on top of so many incredible products that Cozy Earth has. The best bedding, towels, even clothing. And they're having an incredible sale. Black Friday has come early at Cozy Earth. Right now, you can stack our code PillowTalks on top of their site-wide sale.
Damn.
Giving you up to 40% off savings. These deals won't last, so start your holiday shopping today. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. Okay, next, let's get into the Bristle reaction. So this actually is just fully ours, fortunately.
The rest of them are all fully.
They are all ours, but Fuck First is it's just too good. And we both don't have egos about the fact that we didn't originally come up with it. So it's fine.
We love Dan Savage. I mean, Dan Savage is one of our huge inspirations to do what we do, especially with this podcast. We've listened to countless hours of Dan Savage.
And he's so good at coming up with rules, like fun little rules and great names for them too. Okay, so the Bristle reaction is the name that I came up with for for the reaction that you notice when your partner tries to touch you and you feel yourself bristle, like you feel your walls come up, you recoil to their touch, and it can feel very confusing when you're experiencing this. It's like, wait, my partner's just trying to touch me. This is the person that I love, that I'm spending my life with. Like, why am I having such a strong reaction?
Yeah, why do I feel disgusted by them?
Yeah, to their touch. So what the bristle reaction is really all about is bad initiation. So here's the dynamic that tends to come up in long-term relationships. Initiating is really vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there, you're asking for something you want, you're putting yourself in the position to be turned down. And let's be real, getting turned down sucks. So most of us over time, ironically, like the longer we're together with our partner, the more vulnerable initiating feels because we've been rejected more times. We feel more sensitive as time goes on. Sex has started to feel more complicated. So as a result, a lot of us, and this is especially true of men in male-female relationships, men will tend to initiate in these very roundabout ways. They're not being direct about the fact that they want to be intimate. So it'll be like they'll go in for a hug and then the hug lingers for a little bit, or they'll touch your shoulder and then their hand starts to go down your body. And a lot of us women, like we get so tuned in to that moment, literally that second when the contact changes from truly innocent touch into I'm wanting something more. And that's when that reaction happens. Our hackles go up. It's like, ugh, I know what you're trying to do here.
And I mean, it can even get so hyper attuned to that, then it can extend to even just like any kind of touch can start to feel like a suspected initiation. Mm-hmm. So that even if if we were mind readers and we could see what both people were thinking, even if the other partner who is, going in to touch their partner, even if they have zero intention that they are going to initiate sex, because this connection has already been formed, the other person, they're not even thinking like, oh, sex, I don't want to have sex. It's like this dynamic or connection has already been created and they're just like, oh, no.
Yeah,
ugh, no touch, leave me alone.
And what makes the bristle reaction even worse is that most of us don't really touch each other all that much outside of sex. So we start creating this connection that when we're touching each other, it's because we want sex. It's because we're pushing for something more. Like if you really think about it, think about how much touch you and your partner have in an average day that isn't related to sex. If you're like most couples, it's
not much.
It's not much at all. So of course that just makes the reaction, even more intense. Like you're like, I know you're not just touching me just for the sake of it. You never do that. You're only touching me because you want something from me. And it can get even worse. There are like so many dynamics that can feed into it. Like a lot of times if your partner's touching you in ways that you don't really like we've found this is something most couples have never talked about. Like, what are your favorite ways for me to touch you? So they might be touching you in ways that you don't like. And you may also be touched out. Like if you're a primary caretaker, if you're being touched all day long, you already have that hypersensitivity to touch. So again, that partner like touching you, making you feel like they want something from you, which is like, I can't, leave me alone. Everybody leave me alone. So there are a number of different things that can make it worse. But again, the overall idea is that when we're not more clear with our initiation, it's very easy for this pattern to develop. And I forgot to say, like, one of the main reason why we do this roundabout initiation is to try to give ourselves plausible deniability. So the classic thing that happens is like the guy goes in, he gives the lingering hug, she brushes him off, and he's like, what? Like, I wasn't trying anything. Or sometimes he makes it into like a joke. Or like, oh, I was just joking. Just playing around. Which, again, just like makes it worse because you're like, yeah, we both know what's going on, but no, you're not actually acknowledging what's going on. So it's your bodies are having this conversation that your mouths are not actually having. So, we originally, when we started talking about this, we talked about it in the context of our relationship. Like we've both experienced it. We've both been on either ends of it. And we wanted to normalize it. Like we both had that experience of feeling like, what's wrong that I'm having this reaction to my partner? I feel so guilty. I feel so bad about this. And so we wanted to normalize, like, this is a normal thing that happens. to date, it has still been like some of our most viral content. We did so many media interviews about this, like podcast interviews. We've had like tens of millions of views on TikToks and Instagram Reels that we've created about it. So it obviously really resonated with people. So we did an entire deep dive episode into the Bristle reaction. It's episode 212, why you flinch when your partner touches you and how to fix it, the Bristle reaction. But essentially the main fix that we go over in that episode is creating more touch in your relationship. Like we have to break that connection that touch leads to sex, or touch is supposed to lead to more. So we do that by bringing more touch into the relationship.
Because surprise, surprise, more non-sexual touch is good for your relationship, whether or not someone's experiencing the Bristle reaction. Like that is one, non-sexual touch is one of the things that disappears very quickly in serious relationships once they kind of become mature relationships. And I think it's such a shame because that's one of the huge ways that we differentiate, a very close friendship from a more than a friendship. Obviously, sex is a huge differentiator, but beyond that, if you go, oh, sex is the only thing that differentiates that, then it's like, okay, great. So when you're having sex, I can tell that you are not just friends, but like outside of sex, like where are the differentiators? Like we got to have more of that differentiation to just show each other that this is something special.
So more touch that doesn't lead to anything, more touch just for the sake of touch, more kissing just for the sake of kissing, more of everything. All right, next up, one of my favorite things that we've ever come up with.
Also possibly one of the most controversial things that we've ever said, given how many like late night comedy shows made fun of this concept.
Well, it's because they misunderstood it.
They did. Yeah. They didn't ask to interview us, which was a huge loss on their part. But yeah, we got a lot of press on this one.
Okay, it is our nightly makeout routine. So we originally started making out every single night as a reaction to the Bristle reaction. We realized like, okay, we're not in our relationship, like we weren't touching that much. We certainly were not kissing that much. And especially with kissing, we were really only making out like directly in the lead up to sex or during sex itself.
And if we compare that to early in our relationship,
it made us really sad because we used to make out like crazy at the beginning of our relationship. Like so much making out, especially the first night that we met each other.
Well, I mean, if you said that as you're making it sound like we were just like nonstop kissing. We were the very first night that we met. But like, yeah, we would kiss each other, in the next 6 months, say. Like, yeah, we would kiss each other a lot. And it wasn't like after every kiss with tongue, we're running off to have sex.
Yeah. No, there was just a lot more kissing. And we realized like, now we've been together for so many years and like, we're really just not kissing each other the way that we used to. And we both were missing that. I think there's something so sweet about kissing. It takes you back to being a teenager when you could make out for hours, when it felt like kissing was just the most exciting, electrifying thing. And obviously like kissing is something that we just do with our partner, not with anybody else. So we decided, you know what, we want to break these connections. Like we don't want to have this pattern that we only make out during sex, or that when we start making out, one of us is thinking the other's trying to push it, for it to go to more. And so we decided, let's start a new routine where we make out, and we're specifically at the beginning of it, we decided we are not going to allow ourselves to have sex after the makeout session, because that's not the point. It's not to like get ourselves turned on and then go have sex.
It's just to enjoy kissing.
Yeah, to just kiss, to bring back kissing just for the sake of kissing. So for us, it felt easiest to do this at night. And what we started doing is just like, okay, every night we are going to have a quick little makeout session. So the rule that we came up with was just that tongues had to touch. That was all. And so we usually would say, the way that we would describe it is like, yeah, like maybe 30 seconds, on an average night. Some nights, if we're really tired or just not feeling it, it could even be 10 seconds. Some nights it'd be a couple minutes, but like I'd say on average it was like 30 seconds. So what got picked up in the media though, someone along the way thought that we meant 30 minutes
of making out.
Yeah, so there were a couple of different places where they're like, this couple makes out for 30 minutes every night. Who has the time for that?
Yeah, or even if they didn't fixate on the 30 minutes thing, like they were very fixated on like, oh, they're telling us that we should be like, that I should be, like I should be kissing my male partner like for a long time before bed, and then he's gonna get all horny and he's gonna want sex, and oh god, the joke is like, oh, it's gonna happen if I do that to him.
Yeah.
But like my counter to that is, well, sounds like you guys might not be having enough sex if that's really a worry. Like maybe you should focus on that problem. Like how can you have more sex that everyone is actually enjoying? How could you prioritize sex sooner in the day so that you're not getting into a situation right before bed where you're like, oh my God, I don't have time for this, or I'm not ready for this, right? So yeah, I mean, like, yes, let's say that you had fucked first earlier in the day. Then you got to make out for 30 seconds, a minute, even 2 minutes before bed. Like, I think if you've already had sex earlier in the day, you're probably like, hell yeah, sure, I'll make out with you. Like, I can enjoy this. Like, I'm not going to get like all sexually frustrated if we don't have sex afterwards, right? So I think that once you kind of start combining all these things, all of a sudden it starts to make a lot more sense. It's kind of interesting how it's like one of these things, it feels like kind of whack-a-mole. You're like, oh, well, I want to do that, but then my partner might be horny, and oh God, God forbid that my partner gets horny. And it's like, oh, well, this, trying to solve this problem just creates another problem. But, yeah, it kind of is whack-a-mole at first until you start putting all the pieces together, and then they all start working together.
Yeah. So it very quickly became one of our favorite routines with each other, our favorite little rituals. It just felt like this really special thing that we do with each other. And it was just fun to like have making out just for the sake of making out. And it also spread to throughout the day too. Like now we just make out a whole lot more at other points of the day too. And it's this great way to infuse more connection all throughout the day. And it just kept this thread of like sexual energy going between the two of us too. So it didn't feel like, we are getting into bed at the end of the night feeling like, oh my God, we're so disconnected from each other. But also we're not getting into bed at the end of the night feeling that. Because remember, we're prioritizing sex earlier in the day. But yeah, it's become so fun, so special. We really, really like it. And it's just such an easy thing to do to bring more intimacy and connection into our relationship. So we also have an entire episode about this dynamic. It's episode 132, why we started making out every night. So we go over a lot more detail of like how we got this set up, exactly what we do. We address a lot of the objections that people have to it because boy, oh boy, have you guys had some objections to it. But we have had so many people say, even people who were hesitant at first, they were like, I thought this was crazy. I thought it was really annoying that you guys did this. But like, then I tried it and actually we really like it now too. So we definitely highly recommend checking that episode out and coming up with your own little makeout routine because it's fun to make out. All right, next up, let's talk about the two different kinds of desire.
So important.
So important. And most people have no clue that this exists. And we've gotten so much feedback from our community saying this one piece of information was life-changing, like completely changed the game in how I think about our sex life, how I think about like my libido. It's really, really crucial. So let's break it down. There are two different ways that we get turned on and ready for sex. So in our heads, that's mental desire. The idea of sex sounds good. And in our bodies, physical arousal. Our bodies are getting ready for sex. So getting wet, getting an erection, nipples getting hard, heart rate increasing, all that kind of stuff. So the two different sex drive types are based on where you feel desire first. So one type of desire is called spontaneous desire. That's when you feel mental desire first, and then the physical arousal follows. And if you think about every sex scene that you've seen on TV and the movies, that is always spontaneous desire. It's like you're just going about, the character is just going about their life. All of a sudden, the idea of sex sounds good to them. They go find their partner. It's game on from there. So most people think this is how sex drive is supposed to work. I'm just out of the blue, randomly supposed to feel the desire for sex. But there's a second type of desire that most people don't even realize exists, and that is responsive. And it's the exact opposite of spontaneous desire. So you feel physical arousal first, then the mental desire second. So the classic way of knowing that you probably have responsive desire is if you've ever caught yourself in the middle of sex or even at the end of sex thinking, this is fun. Why do I never seem to want this? That is responsive desire. So research shows that men tend to have primarily spontaneous desire and women tend to have responsive desires. Like 85% of women have responsive desire. About 75% of men have spontaneous desire. Of course, there are always, exceptions to that. But there's so many women who, because we don't talk about responsive desire, because most people don't even realize it exists, there's so many women who think of themselves as being low desire or even no desire because they're never getting that mental desire out of nowhere. That is just not true, though. You don't have low desire or no desire. You just have a different kind of desire. And you have to understand how your desire works and work with that type of desire instead of against it. So one of the classic ways that this comes up is like with initiation. So most of us initiate, like the vibe around initiation is like, do you want to have sex? And if you ask somebody with responsive desire, do you want to have sex?
Well, and because first of all, typically someone with spontaneous desire spontaneously has the idea, oh, sex would be nice. I have an idea. I'll initiate with my partner. Mm-hmm. I'll say, hey, they won't say this part. In their head, they're saying, I'm horny right now. I'm feeling it right now.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to have sex right now?
Yeah. So if you ask somebody with responsive desire, do you want to have sex right now? They're always going to say no.
Yeah, because right now they weren't thinking about it.
Yeah, they weren't thinking about it. They have to feel that physical arousal first before they start thinking that the idea of sex sounds good. So approaching your partner in that way, it's always going to lead to a no. And the person with responsive desire is going to wind up feeling, God, why am I always a no? I never seem to want it. So what we need to recognize is for somebody with responsive desire, they have to have physical stimulation first. Their body has to have something to respond to. Then they're going to start feeling interested in sex. So we break this down in a lot more detail in a podcast episode 215, Mismatched Sex Drive Types, the number one reason couples struggle with desire. We go into way more detail about the two different types and specifically what to do if you have like one partner of each type in a relationship, which is almost certainly the case.
Yeah,
like, you are almost certainly going to have different sex drive type than your partner does.
Yeah. So interestingly, we thought that we had different sex drive types until very recently. I'll tell you why in a minute, because the next thing that we're going to talk about starts to kind of clarify that a bit. But one thing I also wanted to say about the desire types is that you kind of mentioned it in passing, that it's like a primary desire type. It's not that you can only ever have spontaneous desire or you can only ever have responsive desire. And I think that, it's great. You learn about this and you're like, oh my God, I'm starting to understand this so much better. But then I think it's kind of similar to love languages. When we don't really go very deep on it, we think, oh, well, this is, I'm an acts of service person. Acts of service is the only way that I can feel love. And I think that the same thing can happen with the sex drive types. We can kind of get really locked in. And so like you'll hear from someone who's a spontaneous type and be like, oh, well, how could we possibly plan to have sex in the future? Because I might not be turned on right then. It can feel like, oh, well, the only way that I can be sexually satisfied or even turned on is if the idea comes to me spontaneously. And so I think, the key for spontaneous types is you need to start creating experiences for yourself where you can see that you can act responsively too. Oh, okay, yeah, when I kind of quiet that noise in my head, the fear that, oh my God, the only way I can get horny is like, if I'm already feeling it, and realize, oh yeah, no, like our bodies are responsive. Like that's how our bodies are, like we're built to be both of these things. And so it's like, okay, can I relax and allow myself to maybe receive some touch and see if I get turned on? And then similarly for responsive types, I think, what often happens is we get so down on ourselves of, oh my God, something's wrong with me. I'm never horny. I never think about sex. I must just not be that into it. And you're, with that kind of shame and guilt, you're literally shutting down your ability to be thinking about sex spontaneously. You already have the story that that's just not you. Yeah. So I think the key for responsive types is really starting to trust, oh yeah, once we get started, my desire fires up. I am a sexual person. I do think about sex. Mm-hmm. And then once you kind of can let go of a lot of that shame and that guilt and that story that you already have for yourself, you might find yourself starting to think spontaneously about sex at times. So it is what is your primary type. I do think it's important to realize, though, that you can and you should be able to feel both of those. The key is identifying where are you. That's a starting point. And then be like, okay, how might I be able to teach myself how to incorporate some of the other type too?
Yeah. So definitely check out that episode if you want to learn more about the sex drive types. It's a really game-changing piece of information. So next, what we want to talk about is another way that we built upon the two sex drive types. We added another layer to it, which is something that we call the emotional physical conundrum.
And this actually came out of an ongoing argument that we had.
Yes. So there are two types of people in the world, just like there are two different sex drive types. So there are people who want to feel emotionally connected before they have sex, and there are people who want to have sex as a way to feel emotionally connected. And just like with the sex drive types, typically in relationships, there's one of each type.
Yep. So we attract opposites.
Yeah, and the classic argument between couples that you'll hear is, well, we're so disconnected right now. Why would I want to have sex with you? And then the other partner is saying, yeah, we're disconnected. That's why we need to have sex. So it often leads to feeling like couples are at an impasse. And we've been through this in our own relationship too. So typically the gender dynamic that we notice is that men want to have sex as a way to create physical intimacy. Men want to have sex as a way to create emotional intimacy. Women want to feel emotional intimacy before getting physical.
Yeah, so similar to the desire types, there is a gender stereotypical breakdown. And so as a result, it would be fair to think that, if someone is responsive, they're probably, I want to feel emotionally connected in order to have sex. And if someone is spontaneous, it would be fair to think, they probably want to have sex in order to feel connected. And so that is true in the statistics, like who's more likely to be what, but they are not one for one. You can absolutely be a spontaneous sex drive type and want emotional connection in order to be open to sex. In fact, that is me. And you can be,
because you skipped over. So we're actually the reverse of the typical gender dynamic. Yeah. I'm somebody who wants to have sex in order to open up or unlock emotional intimacy, and Xander wants to feel emotional intimacy before having sex.
Yeah. And so once we really figured out this dynamic in our relationship, I feel like this really unlocked things for us, because this was kind of like the major impasse that we would find ourselves in if we were in kind of a season of disconnection, or one of us was really stressed or working hard, or we had been in an argument or something. We would find ourselves, I would not be particularly open to sex, and Vanessa would be wanting to have sex and trying to initiate sex with me. And I would be, I might even be bristling a little, or I would be showing all the signs that I was not open to sex. And originally we started talking about desire types, because I think that was, you were aware of the desire types before we kind of created this concept of the emotional physical conundrum. And so we assumed, Xander, me, I must be a responsive desire, because I would often find in these disconnected situations I wouldn't be open to sex. And so we made that faulty assumption. And then later, once we started kind of digging into it more and talking about like what our experiences were like in those situations, I was able to describe to Vanessa finally, kind of in the tail end of we got into a big blow up about this. And I was like, look, like, here's the, I know that you really want to have sex with me right now. And you feel like that's going to make us feel better. But the problem is when things feel tense like this between us, it doesn't feel emotionally safe for me to have sex. I feel like I could push myself to have sex, but then I worry I won't feel good about myself afterwards. So it doesn't feel safe like the way I want sex to feel in a long-term relationship. It feels like I might kind of feel like, how I might feel after like a hookup where I don't feel very good about myself or something. And I think that really opened your eyes to what my experience was. And we were like, oh, this is its own type.
Yeah, so we actually are kind of in the middle of, we are combining these two different models, and it's something that we will share more of in the future as well, but actually making like a 2x2 grid of this and having there be 4 different types. So how your sex drive type and your emotional versus physical type, how, different combinations of those two.
Yeah. So for now, yeah, I mean, if you can quickly identify yourself, you probably can from us just describing what these were. And I bet you can probably quickly identify your partner, or if you want to ask them a question or two, I bet you can figure it out pretty quickly. Start to think about, okay, think about the combination of, are they responsive spontaneous, or are they emotional first, or sex first? And yeah, think about what that might mean, because it starts to get kind of interesting when you think about it. Like, you either will kind of fall into that very gender stereotype, or you'll fall into one of the 2 other possibilities, which are kind of a mixed bag. And it gets really interesting. I think it's a really meaningful way for you to start to understand your partner better and figure out how you can make some adjustments in your sex life so that everyone's happy.
Because ultimately, the thing that's really important to recognize about the emotional physical conundrum is we all want both things. Like, we want to feel emotional closeness, we want to have physical intimacy, but because we each lead with different things, it's very easy for us to feel like we're at battle with our partner.
Yeah,
we
or
want
like misunderstood.
Yeah, feel misunderstood or feel like we want different things. So it's a reminder of like, everybody wants both things, and we can work together as a team to make sure we're getting both things rather than feeling like we're opponents with each other. One of my favorite brands is doing some big time expansion right now with some very exciting new products. So this is OneSkin. At the core of all of their products is their patented OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to target senescent cells, which is the root cause of wrinkles, crepiness, and loss of elasticity. And these results have been validated in 5 different clinical studies. So for a very long time, I've been using their eye cream and their face cream. They recently came out with a body cream, which I'm just about to try out, and a lip mask, which I'm very, very excited to try out. My skin tends to be on the sensitive side, and I've had really great success with their products, making my barrier feel so much stronger and healthier. If you want to try out OneSkin, they just launched their limited edition holiday sets, including the Nightly Rewind gift set. It's just such a great way to try out the brand. And for a limited time, try OneSkin for 15% off using code PILLOW at oneskin.co/pillow. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Here's the sad truth. Most of us spend more time picking a Netflix show than we do being actually present in our relationship.
And yet, research actually shows that your relationship is a bigger predictor of your happiness more than your career or money. But there's never been a clear roadmap to deeper connection and lasting intimacy. Until now.
That's why we built Deeper, our membership for couples who want to feel closer, more connected, and more passionate. If your relationship is in a good place, you'll love the quick wins like brand new date night ideas every month, fun conversation prompts, and even Vanessa AI, your on-demand coach that you can ask anything, anytime.
And if you hit a tougher season, which is totally normal, then Deeper has you covered with our full library of courses and guides so that you can deep dive into exactly what you need most right now. Think communication,
Connection, desire, pleasure, or exploration. We've got you. It's like having a relationship wellness plan that actually fits into your real life.
It's the membership that we always wished existed for ourselves. Something in between expensive therapy and trying to just figure it all out on your own. So whether you just want fresh ideas to keep things exciting or you need more structured tools to get back on track, Deeper meets you where you are. Because your relationship deserves at least as much care as your Netflix queue.
Curious what your deeper journey might look like? Start with the Intimacy Quiz, your key to love that lasts. This quick quiz helps you uncover what your relationship needs most right now. And you might be surprised because most couples get this one wrong. You'll walk away with a personalized roadmap, straight to the point, actionable, and designed to help you reconnect with your partner ASAP. So head on over to vmtherapy.com/5keys. That's the number 5 and then the word keys. Again, it's vmtherapy.com/5keys. And don't worry, we'll also link it in the show notes for you.
All right, and let's wrap this up with
Mushy broccoli.
the mushy broccoli problem.
Let's talk vegetables. You are not eating enough vegetables.
I mean, that's probably true.
Yeah, true. That's not quite what this podcast is about. That would be funny if we just made a hard pivot.
Yeah, into like nutrition.
Yeah, we actually have a broccoli sponsor we want to tell you about. The broccoli lobby. The broccoli lobby is on board with Pillow Talks. We're pushing cruciferous veg.
Oh my God. Okay, this is probably my favorite name for something that I've come up with.
You're not good at.
I'm
I
not
hate
good
to
at
say
naming
it.
things.
You're
not.
You're verging on bad at naming things, and
Yeah.
this and finishing school. I think are your two coup de grace.
I mean, it's not even really that good, but it does make people laugh. So it's fine. Okay, so
It's fine. Wow, you're underselling yourself. You just were like, I did such a good job on this. And you're like, no, it's fine.
I mean, objectively, I don't think it's that great, but I think it's entertaining.
Well, I remember that there used to be another name for this.
Yes.
Before it became mushy broccoli, and mushy broccoli is way better. It used to call it the white toast
problem.
The problem is a lot of people like white toast.
Not like, no, not enough.
All
We're talking like Wonder Bread white toast, not like a...
I think there's a lot of Americans that eat a lot of Wonder Bread. Probably like
mushy broccoli.
I'm gluten free. I can't eat Wonder Bread, so I am not shitting on Wonder Bread, guys.
Okay, so essentially what the mushy broccoli problem came out of was that probably the number one complaint that we hear from people is, I feel like my libido is low. I never want sex.
You feel like your libido's mushy.
Probably. So some of this goes back into understanding the two sex drive types, right? That can play a big factor in this. But also, what we learned is that as soon as somebody tells us, I have low sex drive, the first question that we ask them is, tell us about the sex that you do have. And more often than not, the sex that people will describe is boring. It's predictable. It's routine. It's not particularly pleasurable. And especially from women, we hear a lot of women in relationships with men, we hear a lot of, it feels like it's all about him. There's very little that I get out of it. When he's done, we're done. I very rarely have orgasms, or I'm faking orgasms. And so we started realizing there's a very important connection between our enjoyment of sex and our desire for sex. So that's where the mushy broccoli comes into play.
I still can't see it.
If you are not enjoying the sex that you are having, it doesn't make any sense for you to crave it. So think about a bowl of overly steamed, mushy, unseasoned broccoli. Do you ever find yourself craving broccoli that's cooked in that way? No, of course not. And do you think anything is wrong with you for not craving mushy broccoli? Obviously not. That the same thing has to be true when it comes to sex. If you are having sex that is the equivalent of some mushy broccoli, it makes perfect sense for you not to crave it. And nothing is wrong with you for not craving it. Your body is having a normal, understandable reaction to the situation. So the issue is not libido. The issue is the enjoyment of sex. We don't need to fix your libido. You're not broken in any way. We need to make sure you are having the kind of sex that is worth craving. All right. Well, those are our greatest hits.
Greatest hits, greatest tips.
Greatest hits, greatest tips. Let us know what you thought of these. If you're somebody brand new, you can leave a little comment on Spotify. Let us know which one's your favorite.
Yeah.
If you're an OG, you've been here for a while and we left out one of your favorites, let us know there too. We can always do a greatest hits part 2 if we left out a whole bunch of favorites.
Or let us know which ones of these are you implementing or are you already successful using in your relationship.
All right. Well, that's all for today's episode of Pillow Talks. Thank you so much for listening. Join us again next week. We release new episodes every Thursday.